I love LinkedIn, but I have to admit that I'm probably delinquent on checking a lot of the inbox messages I get there. Whereas I have anxiety over my Outlook inbox, so I will definitely be checking that. So I think for me, at least, and a lot of because I've asked this question to clients of ours, I think email is the best approach. I think having a thoughtful email around presenting your strategy, your team, and potentially your prior track record is helpful. And the pitch decks, no matter how simple, maybe it's a teaser, attaching that to that first email, I think that's super helpful. So we don't have to kind of follow up for it later.
We have a website that anyone in the world can go on and submit their information. So that's like where I point people, no matter how they come into me, because it's like you can upload your information into Diligence Vault. It's all there. It's all in the system, and you are there forever. So that's exactly like how we track every emerging manager that comes in, gets airtime. And so the process and like the CRM system is so important to make sure that that happens. And Aditya, you can tell me this, or like your process, but give us 6 to 8 weeks. Like this is not something we turn around in like 3 days, because we do get inundated. We have a lot. Give us some time. I do sometimes think, sending a quick email with a few bullets on the connection and the strategy is absolutely fine. Chances are, though, we're going to forward it to where it needs to go, because writing a personalized like response that's long and then sending times for a call, like it's just not possible with the volume. And so I want people to know that we're going to be responsive, but that it's not going to necessarily always happen right away. And it takes a little bit of time to kind of work through. You should be asking for feedback. So I think if you give us a few weeks to follow up and give you some feedback, if we don't, follow up again, and then hopefully we do. And if it's a no, I think that's where it's important to figure out what the right cadence is to kind of keep us informed, and that should be thoughtful.
I think similar to the GPs that we work with, it takes a long time to get comfortable with a single investment decision. I think it's similar for us, where there are a lot of stakeholders in that process, whether it's at Stepstone or Hamilton Lane, or even the underlying clients and LPs. So it is a process. But that being said, I think following up on a meeting is definitely something you should do. But I think in that meeting, you should take the feedback and understand an individual LP's process, structure, and even limitations, right? So before you send out that follow-up email, so to make sure you're sending it at the right time and following up in the right way. And again, it's more of an art than a science. So sometimes the best way to follow up can be through an update. Maybe it's portfolio company related, maybe it's organizational, and sometimes it's a co-investment. So there are a lot of ways to kind of skin the cat, so to speak, where you can have a follow-up without not necessarily having a follow-up. It's a bit of a trick, but I think it works. I think especially portfolio company developments are important, whether it's a potential exit or even sort of partial liquidity on something, or a new investment, or things in your pipeline that are kind of moving in that direction. Those are all super helpful updates. It kind of keeps us up to speed on where you are in your deployment, but also in terms of value creation in the portfolio. And then, team developments hopefully aren't happening as often, ideally. But if there are sort of additions to the team, or, unfortunate, but if there are departures from the team, that's obviously very helpful for us to know. So getting updates around that can be helpful. And lastly, just on fundraising, if you had a first close, or you're getting close to a first close and there's a date in mind.
When it comes to us as an LP, we represent a lot of LPs. So we're kind of different than if you're dealing with a one-off, family office, or a one-off, a corporate pension or something. And so what we do is we're constantly having conversations with clients. So, sending us updates via email, like I link that again right into the system. It's actually a press of a button for me, because the way the technology works. So I may not respond to every email, but we're trying to track that information so that a client that you run into 3 months down the line calls us up and asks us about it, we have that information kind of at our fingertips. So I think it's great. And Aditya mentioned all the things we should be updated on. But again, it doesn't mean it's going into a black box of nothingness. It just means that like we are using it, and then we're having iterative conversations, because it's not just one LP we're thinking about. We're thinking about many, and in many different buckets and pockets. And so it's important to make sure that cadence is right, but it's not overwhelming.